Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
How you guys doing today? It is Tuesday, and I have to tell you, today was, I keep going in and looking at all the different things that we're going through, and I had a bunch of people that told me, you can't support Candace Owens. You gotta support Bibi. You can't. She's crazy. She's falling off the, and you had the stuff we said about Ben Shapiro, and he's the righteous one. We need to follow him. This is the same guy, by the way, that said that if you don't get a vaccine, you're stupid. Like, I don't know how you could simp more. And by the way, it's not the left that simps. It's the right. It's the people that says that they're the truth tellers. They're the ones that chase the truth. So then you go, okay, was there 3 types of truth? And Tucker Carlson interviews Nick Fuentes. I'm going to reach out to Nick Fuentes. I'm going to have him on. And say, Joe, you can't have Nick Fuentes on. Well, I've asked some pretty hard questions of candidates. Matter of fact, a lot of the questions that I ask are things that most people wouldn't ask. I like to stay away from this. I call it sniffing the butt. Get close to the problem, but you don't actually talk about it. Now, we're going to talk about the problem. So is Tucker Carlson all of a sudden bad because he interviews Nick Fuentes? I mean, he's talking about the obvious. He doesn't attack the Jewish people. He attacks a specific set of circumstances that we should all say are morally wrong. Now, Nick Fuentes goes off the rails. Candace Owens goes off the rails, and now she's an anti-Semite. I'm not a self-loathing individual. And I want to tell you now that if you think for yourself and you study things, then the conclusions that you come from will put you under attack by one side or the other. So they will pick it apart, and they will find a way to make you the enemy. Because there's only one narrative that's acceptable. That's in essence what we're being told. Support Israel at all costs. And you know what? Support the vaccine at all costs. Let's put it something else in there. Support the pride flag or you're a bigot. Support letting kids go into school and in 2nd grade read a book about sexuality. Or you're just not educated. You can't support TPUSA inside of a campus. Campuses could just kick them out. But the Atheist Network of America will just let them in. Most of the things that we do in our society are written by nonsense. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The government now has been closed for 36 days. 36 days the government's been shut down. The Democrats say it's Republicans' fault because, they want us to add in aid for illegals. And if you don't do it, then you're inhumane. The Republicans are like, listen, we have to be able to take care of our own people. And we should get rid of some of the things that, frankly, are just pork. And they're like, oh, now you're saying that the human being is pork. We don't even take care of the people that we say we want to take care of. Veterans die at a rate of 22 to 25 a day, depending on how you do the math. And nobody's out there screaming from the highest river that we should do more to take care of them. No, let's just funnel money into places where people that feel entitled should get that money. You have people like Mandami that are running for office. And they said that if your name matches or rhymes with light, if your skin color rhymes with light, then you're going to pay more in taxes. The hell I am. We support the ridiculous. We have a ballot issue that came across the thing in New York, which we're going to talk about a little bit. We have a great guest, by the way. We have an interview with Ted Coons. We're going to discuss vaccine damage. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guests, but before I do that, I just want to tell you that today is election day. If you didn't vote, go vote. Go vote. If you're listening to this and you didn't vote, stop listening to me. You can come back and watch it later. We have a lot of stuff going on right now in our society. We have a lot of stuff going on. It almost feels unreal. Like how do we get through this? Elon Musk is talking about the fact that Mandani shows up twice on the ballot. So does another candidate. That Cuomo is all the way at the very bottom, that they engineered the ballot to make sure that a communist wins. They engineered it. The American people have become slaves to a bunch of people that literally just bend and break the laws with impunity. But our guest is going to talk about vaccine damage. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest a little bit. This is this should be an interesting conversation. He's an author, educator, and medical choice advocate. Medical choice. So you just be informed. All he's saying is just be informed. And if you make a decision to put that stuff in your body, great. That's the decision that you made. You made the decision to do that. And if it kills you, you also carry the burden. But his personal background, let me just tell you about that. He's a father, grandfather, educator. He's a retired psychotherapist. This should be an interesting conversation because most of the people in today's age, the new kids coming up that go through psychology classes and that's their major, come out soup salad. So it'd be nice to talk to someone who's not soup salad. They can actually talk about reality, what real science is. His personal journey began researching vaccine safety after his son, Joshua, suffered a severe injury from a DPT injection in 1984. We're going to talk about his son. Oh, man. He discovered inconsistencies and lack of transparency within the medical industry's vaccine safety claims and has 25 years of clinical experience as a psychotherapist and consultant. He is the president of Vaccine Choice Canada. He is the chair of the National Citizens Inquiry. He co-founded Freedom Rising. He's the host of a weekly Freedom Leaders meeting connecting activists and advocates across Canada. So they really don't like him up there because, man, Canada is like the home of the slave trade. It's what the U.S. is becoming. His core beliefs are medical freedom and informed consent are fundamental human rights. And that citizens must defend their rights to choose what to inject into themselves and their children. And all he's advocating for, I just want to put it out there, all he advocates for is honesty, transparency, and accountability in public health. He's not advocating for you not to have a choice, not advocating for you to, basically say that all vaccines are bad. He's saying just do your research. Do the stuff that's necessary for you to be an informed parent. And don't be influenced by people that just say, take the jab, take the jab, take the jab, take the jab, take the jab. Before we have our guests come on, you know what? No, I'm gonna give him first chair. I'm gonna bring him in first. I read the part of a vaccine hurting his child, and I don't know of a harder thing that you'd go through as a father or a mother. So I'm gonna play this cut, and I'm gonna bring Ted on. This is Ted talking about his child being different after a trip to the doctor's office. Let's play it.
The child we brought home from the doctor's office is not the same that we brought to the doctor's office. You quoted that to me yesterday. What does that mean exactly?
Well, it means that my son was changed by the vaccine shot. The first day that we took our son Joshua to the doctor for his well baby visit, and we had a healthy baby. We had a happy baby, content, slept well, ate well. And then the child that we brought home from the doctor's office that day was irritable, didn't sleep well, fussy, agitated. 21 days after that doctor's visit, he had his first grand mal seizure. What happened is that my son developed an uncontrolled seizure disorder following that vaccination shot. And it's a seizure disorder he had for his entire life. And in the beginning, Josh was seizing about once a month. By the time he was 4, the seizures had increased in frequency, and by then he was seizing 12 to 15 times a day. And each seizure was in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 minutes. Our life was completely altered by that decision, and I have to say that it actually wasn't a decision. I didn't make a conscious decision to take my son to the doctor that day for his vaccine shot. I just did what was expected of me, and in hindsight, I look back and say I wasn't a responsible parent. I put more research into the kind of stroller for my son, the kind of car seat, the crib, the baby food. You know, all of those things, you do some research, you ask other parents, you look for safety data, you read the ingredients list. But I put in zero research into what they were injecting into my son that day.
Ted, welcome to the show. Can you let Ted in? Can you guys let Ted in? Guys, there you go. Ted, welcome to the
Hi,
show.
Joe. Thanks for inviting me, and thank you for your commitment to the truth.
You know, it's really the only thing that we have. Everything else you can't take with you. I've never seen a hearse with a U-Haul behind it. So it's really the only thing we can take into the life after this one. Tell me about your son.
Well, you heard some of it in that clip that you played. So Josh was born in 1984, and he had a reaction to his very first vaccine shot, which was the DPT shot, developed an uncontrolled seizure disorder, and he required 24-hour care his entire life because of the amount of seizing that he experienced, thousands of seizures. His intellectual capacity was eroded. He was functioning at the level of a 2-year-old. This child that at one point could walk and talk and feed himself and ride a tricycle, by the time he was 4, he could do none of those things. He had every aspect of life he required care. He could never be left unattended. And so that journey was grueling. It was grueling for him. It was grueling for the family. It was grueling for the marriage. And then all of that is, as I say in that video clip, is that I realized I didn't do my homework. I blindly walked into this, blindly trusting the medical system. And I was a graduate student at the University of British Columbia in Canada, and I had access to the medical library. And so I started to do my own research on that DPT vaccine. And that shot that they told me was safe and effective, and there was no way that the vaccine was responsible for his seizures. There was compelling evidence in that medical library, which was not that far from Vancouver Children's Hospital, which showed that vaccine was causing significant neurological injury to babies. And so we were all lied to, Joe. I think, one of the questions I get asked is there such a thing as informed consent? And when it comes to vaccine, the answer is no. I don't believe anybody has made an informed decision, because the information that we need to make that decision has been withheld from us.
All right, so let me ask you, where's Joshua now?
He passed away in 2017.
I'm sorry.
Well, it was hard to let him go, Joe, but it was hard to be in that body of his, and I was glad that he finally got released out of that journey that he was on. I believe he came to be of service to humanity. He came to be a teacher. You
went to the doctor because you wanted to trust the medical profession, that they wouldn't put you in a position where you would have to take away the life of your child. Do you still feel the same way? Has it changed your perception of the medical profession itself and what it represents?
I have no confidence in the medical system anymore. I believe that it's been severely compromised. It's been captured by the pharmaceutical industry. There isn't this kind of conversation in the medical system about vaccine safety, efficacy, and necessity. There's a mantra. It's become a religion. So you either believe, and if you don't believe, you're shamed, you're ostracized, you're shunned, you're removed from society, you're denied access to a career. We've gotten pretty egregious on how we're forcing people to take these poisonous injections into our body. Again, the thought of informed consent and medical choice is actually a lie. It doesn't exist when the product is a vaccine. We're harming. A question I get asked all the time, Joe, is how many children are vaccine injured? How many children do I think are vaccine injured? And my answer is all of them.
All of them.
You can't inject these kinds of ingredients. You look at the ingredients list. You wouldn't put that into a baby food and feed it to your child. They would arrest you and put you in jail. And yet somehow when we put the label vaccine on it and inject it into the arm or the thigh, boy, not only is that acceptable, it's celebrated and we're proud of the fact that our child has got 72 vaccines before the age of 18. I mean, it's disturbing how distorted it's gotten when the topic is vaccination.
Do you have other children?
I have 4 stepchildren. Josh was my only child, my only biological child, but I have 4 stepchildren. So I've had the luxury of parenting other children, which I'm grateful for.
So can I ask you some tough questions that nobody's probably asked you?
Sure.
Your marriage. It didn't make it after all this.
No. As I said, it's when you've got a child seizing 12 to 15 times a day, there's not much space in there for a marriage. We have had a daughter, Lanny, who is 5 years older than Josh. We have a daughter, Lanny. And what I say is that, she got lost in all of this. You can't attend to the normal needs of a 9-year-old when you've got a 5-year-old seizing 12 to 15 times a day. And so the marriage came apart at some point. I mean, the inability to nurture that marriage finally had its consequences. And if anything, Joe, in a unfortunate kind of a way, but our lives got better when the marriage came apart because we had made a decision that we would share the responsibility of Josh's care. And so I would have him for a week. And when you do that, there's nothing else. Like I said, you can't leave him unattended. And then there's a week that he would be with his mom. And then I got to experience some of normal life again. And both of us got to experience having other relationships when that marriage came apart. And on one hand, you might call it a failure. On the other hand, we were able to thrive in a way we couldn't when it was just the two of us carrying that weight of responsibility.
I asked that question because I don't think people understand that this is not a victimless crime. And that Joshua was a victim, but so was you and your wife. And so are the people that you're around. And it's a blessing in some ways because obviously you're able to build a new relationship and you're able to father these four children in some degree. But the reality still stands is that you wouldn't have chosen this.
No. And you're right. The divorce rate of a family that has a child with severe disabilities is over 80%. And so the toll that has on a family is serious. And again, it's not just the marriage, it's the ability to parent, to father, to mother the other children, the ability to have friendships. I mean, what happens when you've got a child that's as sick as Josh was, people move away from you. They step away. My own family, my mother said, I want to help you, but it's too hard to witness the suffering that you and your son are going through. And so she would manage her involvement with me because it hurt her heart to see how much I was suffering and her grandson.
But that wasn't the only suffering that happened. You also had the country, the state, that said, "Oh, it's not our problem. It's not what caused it." Correct?
Absolutely. There's absolute denial that vaccines are anything but safe and effective. And so what I can tell you is that part of my journey with, we virtually lived in Vancouver Children's Hospital for the first 5 years of Josh's life. And I say that quite literally because my wife and I had made a decision never to leave Josh alone in hospital. So she would be with Josh during the daytime. I would be at work. I would drive straight from work to the hospital. I would have a shower. I would be with Josh overnight. And then my wife would come in the morning. I would get a fresh set of clothes and I would drive straight to work. So I wasn't at home for weeks at a time. When Josh was 5, the chief neurologist took me aside one day and he said, "Ted, I'm going to ask you not to bring your son back to hospital." And I said, "Why would you do that?" And he said, "We've tried everything. We can't seem to help your son. Please don't bring him back." And I was devastated to hear that. I still had hope that they could figure this out and I could have a healthy son back. But what happened was I wasn't ready to give up on my son. And so I began to explore alternative healthcare, which was absolutely foreign to me. I grew up thinking the only kind of healthcare is the ones with the white lab coats that you get at a doctor's office or the hospital. And I found a naturopath who began to work with Josh. And her very first interview with Josh, she said to me, "You know your son's vaccine injured, don't you?" And I said, "Well, I've always suspected that, but I've been told that that's not true." And she said, "No, her assessment confirmed that that was the case." And then she began to treat him with homeopathy, with acupuncture, with herbal remedies, with detoxification. And over a course of 3-year period, those seizures went from 12 to 15 times a day and 20 minutes long to 3 to 4 times a month. And each seizure was 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So massive improvement in his health care.
So, but the damage at that point was done.
Yes, the neurological damage was done. So he continued to function at the level of a 2-year-old, but the rate of seizing was significantly reduced. But we went back to Children's Hospital for an annual consultation, and they were thrilled at his improvement in his seizure disorder. And so I said to them, "Do you want to know what we're doing?" And they said, "What?" And I started to explain the protocol we were on with homeopathy and acupuncture and herbal remedies and such. And they literally stopped me and said, "You're wasting our time. We're not interested in that nonsense." And they walked out of the room. And that's when I realized they weren't really committed to the health of my son. They were committed to their ideology. They were committed to their narrative. They didn't want to hear that something else might make a difference, that was outside of their area of expertise.
And that was in the early 90s, correct?
Yep.
So you're in the early 90s. This is long before COVID, the vaccine there. By the way, from the early 90s to today, they added nearly 70 new vaccines or injections into vaccines. I think Canada even has more than they have in the United States.
We're pretty hooked on vaccines in this country. Yeah.
So I have to ask you a question about that specifically, and that is, they have to know. They have to know what they're doing is actually causing these injuries. They can't be in denial. That's absolutely. Are they too far down the rabbit hole that they now just have to continue this, or are they doing this on purpose in order to destroy lives and kill people?
Well, Joe, that's a really good question. I mean, I think it's a multifaceted answer. I think there are those that they just believe what they believe. They've been captured by the pharmaceutical narrative. They can't think outside of that mantra that vaccines are safe, effective, and necessary. And they get shunned if they begin to question. They'll be challenged. They'll lose their licenses. Dr. Paul Thomas is a pediatrician out of Oregon that began to recognize that he was harming his patients by the vaccine schedule. So he took seriously the ethic of informed consent, and he began to do research and then explaining it to his patients. And as a result of that, he developed probably the largest clientele of partially vaccinated and unvaccinated children in America. And the College of Physicians and Surgeons became aware of what he was doing, and they challenged him and said, "What makes you think that you're smarter than the CDC?" And he said, "Well, I don't think I am. I'm simply giving parents information, and they're making the decision." But they wanted to know, what makes you think that your vaccine schedule is better than the CDC schedule? And he said, "Tell you what I'll do. I'll hand my data, my clinical data, over to an independent researcher to look at the health outcomes of vaccinated, partially vaccinated, and unvaccinated children." And the data was absolutely clear that the unvaccinated children were the healthiest. The next healthiest was partially vaccinated, and the worst health outcomes were in fully vaccinated children. And within 48 hours, rather than celebrate this new information and say, "Geez, we figured out some things about how to have healthier children in America," they had an emergency meeting of the college and they took away his medical license. That's what happens if you question the mantra.
But he wasn't questioning; he was just trying to.
He was providing information. And then, Joe, I think there are those that know exactly what's going on. I believe that they don't have any regard for humanity, that their agenda is a different agenda. And how big that percentage is, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that in my work of Vaccine Choice Canada that I've had, particularly in the last 5 years, I've had doctors who have contacted me and have apologized. And they said, "I thought you were an absolute whack. You were an anti-vaxxer. I had no time for you." And when COVID came, I began to question the COVID vaccine, and then I started asking questions about all vaccines. And I started looking at your information as opposed to simply writing you off. And I have to apologize because you knew more than I did. And one of the best apologies, Joe, is I had a doctor that he said, I need to apologize, and I'm going to send you something. And he sent me a photograph of a dinner plate with a dead crow on it. And the caption was, "I have to eat crow."
You've been fighting this battle now for 40 years?
Yeah, 41 years. Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give a parent, just any parent today in the U.S. and Canada? Would your advice be no vaccines?
Well, I believe in informed consent. I believe in medical choice. I don't want to do what the government does, which is tell you what to do. If people ask me.
All right, let me ask you a different way.
Okay.
You got 100 jelly beans in a jar. One of them is a fentanyl pill, and it can kill you and your entire family. Are you putting your hand in that jelly bean jar?
Well, I wouldn't.
So you're basically saying that if you want to play Russian roulette, or roulette for under any circumstance, whether there's 1 million lines on that deal where one is bad or 100 where one is bad, you're going to make a decision that you're
people need to. People need to evaluate their risk. What's the risk of being unvaccinated? What's the risk of being vaccinated? The problem is they're not given that data. They're told the vaccine is safe and it's effective, and so there's no decision to be made. But that's not the data. That's not what the science says. There was a study that was done in 2020. It's called the control group study, where they compared the completely unvaccinated population in America to the standard of health of vaccinated Americans. And in every category, the unvaccinated are healthier than the vaccinated. But there was further data that they pulled out of that, and they looked at what is the risk of dying from having a vaccine versus the risk of dying from being unvaccinated. And with every single vaccine on the childhood schedule, The risk of dying is higher from the vaccine than from being unvaccinated. And if parents knew that, they would not be playing Russian roulette.
So let me ask you a question about that specifically. Based on what you just told me, should anyone vaccinate their child?
Well, I think that if they knew that information, they would not vaccinate their child. I would not vaccinate my child. I would not take a vaccine. And the bottom line is none of the vaccines on the schedule have been proven safe against a true placebo. None of them. So you start to
Many of them
realize
aren't even pushed towards the placebo because they won't even look at the data for unvaccinated individuals.
Yeah. So if you actually make your decision based upon the scientific evidence, there's no reason to vaccinate and every reason to abstain. We've been lied to, and to me, if parents understood that simple fact, they would not be putting their children at harm's risk. But they've been taught the opposite. They've been told that if you don't vaccinate, you're going to kill your child, you're going to kill other people. And that's just not true. It's so distorted.
Okay, so let me. I have so many questions, but I also want to. I don't want to steer the conversation either. I kind of want you to be talking to me about this. So, since you started Vaccine Choice Canada, have you got any pushback from the government and from the medical profession at all? Have they demonized you? Have they said that you're not allowed to be a part of any of the conversations related to medical health? Have they silenced you, kicked you off social media? I mean, what have you been subjected to over the years?
Well, first of all, let me just be clear. I didn't start Vaccine Choice Canada. It existed before me, and I was invited to join the board, and then now asked to be the president. So, yeah, have we been censored? Absolutely. Have we been shunned? Absolutely. So, and it used to be like in the late 80s and early 90s, there was still some space to have some conversations about vaccine injury, vaccine risk. For example, one of our major newspapers here in Canada, national paper, the Globe and Mail, they contacted me and said, we're going to write an article on vaccination. And we have somebody who's going to write about why people should vaccinate. And we're going to allow you to write an article about why they ought to consider not vaccinating. And they gave me half a page in a full-page newspaper. And they printed it. But that was more than 30 years ago. I've not been given that opportunity since. If anything, we're censored. I was just in a board meeting for Vaccine Choice Canada today, and we had our young woman who does our social media accounts for us, and she gave us a report. And Joe, she said she's discovered that there's a tool that helps you to identify words that you're using in your messaging that are banned phrases. And if you use those words, your information is throttled back and censored. And let me give you some of those words that she identified are banned words. Know your rights, informed consent, medical freedom, informed choice, natural immunity, natural health, and get this one, protect your children. Those are banned words.
So it's now you're now not allowed to talk about it. They ban it, they censor you, they do all these things. All you're doing is trying to have a conversation.
Right.
And I mean, look, I'm a firm believer that we shouldn't cater to the ridiculous, but now the ridiculous feels like this isn't just a problem we uncovered in 2020. We just came to the realization that they've been doing this for at least 4 decades. You were early to the party.
Yeah.
And here we are 4 decades later. So we don't have a small problem that we're dealing with, not just in Canada, but in the United States and around the world. We have a big problem with some psychopathic people.
Yes.
That are trying to destroy us collectively. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's the bottom line, Joe. Yeah. We don't need any more evidence. We don't need any more research. They know what's the cause of many childhood illnesses. It's the vaccine schedule. I don't know if you're familiar with the Henry Ford hospital study that just came out about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. It was the largest study that's been done so far using the hospital's own patient data that compared the health outcomes of vaccinated and unvaccinated children. And it was exceedingly well done. And what the study showed is that 47% of children that are vaccinated have a chronic health condition, and only 17% of unvaccinated children have a chronic health condition. And so that's a massive increase in the vaccine, the risk of vaccination or the consequences of vaccination. That chief medical officer of that hospital, the CEO of that hospital system, received that data, and rather than share that with the public, he buried the report. This was back in 2020 is when that report was completed. And so he was exposed just recently, and they asked him why he didn't release it. And he said, well, I would lose my job if I released that. I might as well retire if I release that. So it wasn't about the health of our children. He could have been a hero, not only in America, but in the world, saying, listen, this is what there's a solution to many of the illnesses that our children are experiencing: asthma, allergies, seizure disorders, ADHD, autism, I mean, on and on and on. But no, he said, I would lose my career. So his career was more important than the health of our children. And I find that absolutely, I find that criminal. I was going to say despicable, but that's not strong enough. To me, that's criminal behavior. And somebody like that who has that information and keeps it from the public and continues to lie to the public, I think they ought to go to jail.
There'd be a lot of people going to jail.
Yep.
But so then you're a slave. I just want to point out the fact that people are slaves. If the system can actually lie to you, put poison in your body, then tell you that ignore the facts and ignore all of the evidence, then you in fact are a slave.
I would say a mind-controlled slave, because you can bring this information to people, and if they are captured by the vaccine cult, they can't hear words. They'll stop you, after 3 sentences or after 2 words. They don't want to hear it. And to me, that's shocking. Like if I said to you, that baby stroller you have, I've got some information that you might want to look at, because there's been some harm as a result of that stroller. Almost every parent would say, oh yeah, share it with me. But if you use the word vaccine instead of stroller, conversation is over. The number of people that are curious and willing to question vaccines is a pretty small number.
Well, I think more and more people in the public are starting to question it. It's kind of like what I said before about questioning kind of the who's wrong in the genocide of Palestinians. And I don't have to be pro or anti-Israel to look at someone and saying killing tens of thousands of people is not the right thing to do, right? Under any circumstances. And that's more people that died in an offensive war or battle in a war in World War II, right? We have become almost to the point where we've left reason at the door of the devil, and the devil basically doesn't have to argue for reason anymore.
Well, and you said it, we've become slaves. We're complicit in our own enslavement. We the stories that I'm sure you heard during COVID, where people would be lined up at a pharmacy to get their shots, and the person in front of them gets the needle and then falls dead on the floor. And people stay in line and get their shot. Like, it's almost, if you would have told people 5 years ago that they would behave that way, they would have thought you were crazy. What we're witnessing.
How did it happen? How did we get to this place? I mean, how did we get to a place where someone would even do that? I mean, it just doesn't. It's antithetical to just being smart.
And I don't know the answer for sure, but I would suggest that humanity has been hacked. I mean, what's his name from the WEF who said humanity can be hacked? I think he was telling the truth. I think they have
Noah Harari.
Right. I think they
Demonic
figured out
dude.
ways to get us so that we no longer think for ourselves.
So how about the
It's
people that do think
disturbing.
for themselves? Are they just immune to it? Are we immune to the retarded or being retarded, or is it?
Well, that's one of the questions that I've been curious about for the last 5 years. Like, what makes you and I different, Joe? What is it about us that we could see the lies, the deception? We were unwilling to roll up our sleeve and blindly take that genetic experiment, and yet, in Canada, 85% took the shot. So what is it about the 15% that refused, or less than that? And I don't know the answer. One of the questions that when I asked that, I've spoken at many rallies, and one of the questions they say, how many here don't watch TV? And almost every hand goes up. And so I believe those that are able to step away from the programming are not sitting in front of that box and being programmed every night. I think
Well,
we need
it's
to
interesting.
recognize those devices are dangerous.
So you're saying that through these electronic devices, they're able to reprogram us and get us to believe certain things,
That's my guess. Yes.
like boys being girls, girls being boys. They've actually created an entire environment. Do you think it's in the radio waves? Do you think it's in what the messaging is? I mean, it. And look, I'm looking for an answer because I have
Yep.
arguments with people that I think are normal people. Like I have a friend. His name's Ike. I mean, I think Ike is an amazing guy, but he's a lefty, and he believes that people on the right are fascist.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with you? How do you not see it, Ike? Are you serious? You believe in the Second Amendment? They're wrong on that, but they're right on all this? Come on, man, something's wrong with you.
Well, I think one of the things they've effectively done with algorithms is they feed you a particular narrative and you stay within that narrative. And so, I think a good experiment would be for you to hand your iPad over to your buddy and have your buddy give him his iPad and watch what he's watching.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet he's not watching what you're watching and vice versa. And so he's getting a narrative that appears to be consistent because that's all the algorithms will give him. And he doesn't know what you're seeing. And so he thinks you're nuts. And that's what we think about them. They have very effectively divided us. And people don't have conversations about this stuff anymore. It's forbidden to have a conversation about some of this stuff. So you can have it over the internet. You can put in comments into social media and beat the snot out of other people. But do you have that kind of conversation face to face? In most cases, you don't.
I don't beat people over the head anymore on comments because my frustration is now down to zero. I just recognize that they're retarded, and somewhere along the line their brains stop working. But all those people that do say stuff to me, when I get in front of them, they don't really have that axe to grind. They're not tough anymore.
Well, and the other
Like,
thing,
hey,
when
boy, I told you, you said you were tough. Come on over here. How big a boy are you?
well, and Joe, what I found is that if those people, if you say to them, tell me what you know, tell me why you're so confident that vaccines are safe and effective, they'll just say, well, they are. Well, no, but what have you read? What do you know? Who have you spoken with? And there's no depth to their position, and that's what tells me that they're mind controlled. They don't have a body of information to actually support the position they've taken. Whereas if you ask me about my position, I mean, if you've got days, I'll spend days talking to you. I've got lots of stuff to share with you. And that's what I find is that it's almost like people have been turned into zombies. I mean, I think about those zombie movies when we were kids, and it's like, I think it's real. It's happened.
Okay, so given the emerging mRNA and platform vaccines and the fact that they did this back in '84 before that even exists, are they accelerating this kind of destruction of humanity? Because I feel like that's what they're doing.
That's what I feel like it's happening as well. I mean, the increase in mortality rates globally is it's undisputed that people are dying earlier, faster, Our fertility rate has gone down. Like there's every measure of survival is going in the wrong direction. And I don't believe there's any coincidences. I don't believe there's any accidents. I now believe this is intentional. It's very well designed. Whoever's behind this agenda is in some ways I got to give them kudos. They've organized a pretty destructive strategy here. They clearly they're not. They don't have human empathy. They don't love their fellow man. They have a different agenda. But I think we're seeing something incredibly nefarious that we don't. It's hard for us to believe that much evil exists. I didn't used to use the word evil throughout most of my life. As you know, my career was a psychotherapist, and I've worked with people that have done pretty bad things. And I always held the belief that they did the best they could with what they knew. But I no longer believe that. I believe that there's an evil force that exists now that seems to have infected large swaths of humanity. And we're in a very dangerous time.
Yeah. You mentioned long-term adverse effects. So I want to bring it up to COVID. I'm going to step away from the vaccine injury of your son. I'm going to bring it up to COVID. You obviously know people that have died from the COVID vaccine. You know people that have been adversely injured. There's a young lady that is Canadian that was paralyzed from the waist down. I think her name's Kaylee.
Yeah.
Pretty popular story out of Canada. Canada came to her and said, "Hey, we're sorry." They accepted the fact that it was vaccine injury, but then they gave her two choices. One choice was euthanasia. So and that was their recommended choice. They actually told her, this is what we recommend, is that you just kill yourself, right? And the second was that they would give limited extended care for her, limited, and that her out-of-pocket, so they basically made it financial. Now she's fighting through this, but think about how sick you would have to be for the doctor sitting in front of you to say, we recommend that you off yourself.
Or how sick the medical system has become. Yeah, that's part of what they consider to be medical treatment. The numbers here of medically assisted dying in Canada are over the top. We have the same population in Canada as California, but we have 10 times the rate of medically assisted deaths in this country. How does that happen? What kind of a system creates that? What kind of a consciousness? The lack of regard for human life. It's pretty disturbing where we're at, Joe.
So what's the answer? How do we? I mean, short of an orchestrated revolt, which I believe we're there. I mean, we have problems with our elections that are selecting, not electing people. The people that are selected are literally people that are EBITs that are doing the business of, hey, just follow. That's why they want Thomas Massey out, is because he doesn't follow the leader. In large part, I think that the Republicans, Democrats, or even people in leadership up in Canada thinks that we're just stupid people, and that stupid is that we're like the useful idiots. But we're at this place right now where there is about 10, 15%. I would say, of the population in the United States and that are willing to fight. So what's the answer? I mean, we can't have these vaccines. You see them fighting against JFK or RFK Jr. You see them fighting up in Canada, and they're stripped of their bank accounts. Canada's worse than anywhere. Either you play ball or you lose everything, right? You're not allowed to talk about anything in Canada. What's the answer? You guys don't even have guns anymore. Like you have nothing. You can fight with potatoes, I guess. Throw potatoes at people.
Well, we do have some guns here, but they also want to take those away. So they've brought in new gun legislation that you have to surrender your guns by 2026, and if you don't, it's a criminal offense. They're introducing new legislation this fall that basically deems anything where somebody's feelings are hurt as a hate crime, and you can go to jail for that. And yet, this past week, our Supreme Court in this country deemed that having a minimum of 1 year in jail for pedophiles was unconstitutional because it was cruel and unusual punishment. So they've struck that down so that it no longer has the seriousness of a crime. And
Say
yet,
that again. Say that again, because I know some vigilantes up in Canada that are making a list.
the Supreme Court of Canada decided last week to strike down. There was a minimum sentencing criteria for those that were convicted of pedophilia, and they said that to have a minimum sentence is cruel and unusual punishment, even though the minimum sentence was only a year. And so, what is that? What's the message there? And then those that were leaders in the Freedom Convoy that we had a few years ago, they've been in jail for the charge of mischief. They're going to serve more jail time or more house arrest time than a pedophile does in this country. So the question is, what do we do? I mean, I think we're at war, Joe. The problem is it's an invisible war, so most people don't see it. They think everything's just fine.
You don't think they see it when they tell you that a pedophile can rape or hurt a child and they don't get any jail time?
I think most of the people that watch that box at night and get their news from the government-sponsored media in our country, it's CBC, Canadian Broadcast Corporation. They don't see what we see. They don't hear what we hear. They probably don't know that court ruling came down last week. Our major newspapers won't report on those things. So when I mention things like that to the uninformed, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm a crazy man.
Right.
That's where we're at. I actually think Canada is a failed state. Now I get corrected when I say that because people say to me, Ted, it's not a failed state. It's working exactly as it was designed to. It was never designed to be a democracy. It was never designed to be a representative republic that represents the will of the people. It was designed as a slave system, and it has performed that exceedingly well. And now maybe for the first time we're seeing it because it's so egregious.
Okay, so tell me what you're doing in Canada or how people can get involved in Canada in order to shift this. I mean, how many people do you have that are part of your coalition now?
Well, one of the initiatives that I'm involved with is the National Citizens Inquiry. And so what that is there's a group of us that back in 2022 felt like somebody needs to investigate the government's response to COVID. There needs to be some mechanism of accountability here. And we didn't trust that the government could investigate themselves. So we struck a committee where we would begin to host hearings across the country that would be given in a quasi-judicial setting in front of 4 independent commissioners, and the testimony would be given under oath. And so we've done that. So we've held 36 days of hearings over the last 3 years, heard from more than 450 witnesses. We've collected the largest body of evidence given under oath of a government's response to COVID in the world. And those commissioners, in addition to hearing the testimony, they summarize the testimony and then they write recommendations. And so the report that came out in November of 2023 contained over 400 recommendations, and they've done more since then. I think that that's part of how we go forward here, because the NCI is one of the few places in this country where the truth is being spoken. It's not being spoken in our governments, in our parliaments, in our newspapers, in our regulatory agencies, in our law enforcement. So citizens have to create new structures, and I think that's one of those structures. Now, to date, the government has ignored us. They've ignored our reports. They've ignored the testimony. But we know that they know that we exist. And they have tried very hard to ignore us, but more and more people are watching the testimony and recognizing that we've been lied to on a massive scale. I give opening and closing comments to each of those days of testimony. And what I said is that it's like we're living in 2 different worlds. The world that exists inside of the NCI and the information we hear is completely different than the world that exists out the door that most of the public hears. I think all we can do is what you're doing, Joe, is that you create an opportunity for truth to be spoken, for dialogue to happen, for debate to happen. If I'm wrong, speak to me about it. Let's create those opportunities. So that's one example. I think we have to create a new medical system. We have to create new education systems. We have to lessen our dependence upon government. I think we have to become more adult-like and take responsibility and protect our ability to make decisions. What I say is that it's not the government's job to protect our rights and freedoms. It's our job to protect our rights and freedoms. Um, Somebody told me that the most dangerous organizations in the world is the governments, and it took me a while to realize that that in fact is the truth. That they have killed more people and they are more dangerous and more tyrannical and have stolen more money than any other criminal organization out there.
Man, I don't. I'm having this conversation with you and feeling hopeful but hopeless all at the same time. They're systematically taking things away from us little by little. It's now gotten to the point where, I mean, if there aren't aliens, someone's trying to kill us off. And I feel paranoid for even saying those words. Someone is.
Well, that's what the evidence is. The evidence is we're being killed off, without a doubt. And so you could say, well, that's just accidental, just a mistake. No, COVID wasn't a mistake. It was incredibly well coordinated. It was well orchestrated, well organized. They had people in positions at every level to impose those mandates. They very quickly silenced anybody who was in opposition. And it was a pretty impressive operation. As a military operation, I would say it was a success. What it did is it alerted us to the fact that our governments are killing us. They're complicit in the harming and the ending of humanity, I would suggest. And so, who are they? Again, I don't know the answer to that, but I say they don't appear to be human, or they don't act like humans.
They act like, I mean, they act like they're diabolical.
Yes, yes,
Do you believe in God?
yes.
Do you think maybe the people that truly believe in God are the ones that can't be fooled by something that's not true?
Joe, I would say that the percentage of people in Canada that are in the freedom movement are people of faith. And so I absolutely believe that that's part of our protection, maybe all of our protection. It's also why we can see things other people can't see.
I mean, it's kind of scary actually. If you think about it, it's ridiculously scary when you look at all the details around this, not just in Canada but the United States, or what we see happening in Europe, or specifically the UK, or the forced vaccinations that they had in Australia.
Diabolical. Yeah.
And it's everywhere. It's in every country. It's like we have their tentacles into the whole thing. It's like destroy, destroy, destroy.
Yeah, massive operation. But I'm unwilling to go to hopelessness. I think when you do that, they've won. And I'm going to fight this with every breath I have, and so part of that is to have faith. I mean, one of the stories that I tell is there was a book I read, and it was a fiction book. I think it was The Book of Love by Kathleen. Well, I've lost the author's name, but anyways, the heroine of the story is being confronted by some bad guys, and she's afraid she's going to die, and she hears a voice, and the voice says, "Faith and fear cannot exist in the same place in the same time.
I agree.
Choose one."
I agree with that.
And I choose faith. I'm not afraid of these bad guys.
I'm not afraid of anything. And I know my time's coming. It comes for all of us. But I'm afraid of nothing. And I truly feel like we're in a really, 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 this is the end times. In my opinion, it's the end times. We've got to have to wake up, shake up, and get at it. That's why I think President Trump's going to have to, in the United States, President Trump's going to have to push the little button that says insurrection, because it's the largest coup ever to be formed. It's been going on for decades. The way you're talking, it's been going on for 4 or 5 decades. These are demons, aliens, let's call them, little green people. Because who else would do this besides demons? He's gone. Oh, okay. Can we see him? Can he hear us? Okay. All right. Well, we just lost Ted. We'll bring him back on here in a second. There he is. He's back. Okay. Can you give me volume? Can you give him back his mic? All right. Let's bring him back on. Hello? Okay. Yeah, turn on your mic. Okay, you guys work on that. Can we start having a conversation about Little Green Men? Can we start having a conversation about aliens? I mean, who else would do this to humanity? Who else would lie like this? I mean, it can't be a coincidence that Ben Shapiro is 3 feet tall and that all the midgets are 3 feet tall. Can't be. It can't be a coincidence. And I look at it and go, it's whew. Let's take away their guns. They're doing it in the United States. Let's do all these things that we're doing to hurt people in every country. Let's go to foreign nations like Nigeria and rape and murder and kill. And let's let Bill Gates go into Africa and literally sterilize entire communities. I mean, just think about the breadth of all this. These people get away with it. They get away with it. Let's bring Ted back. Can we get Ted back on or no?
Yeah, am I back in?
Oh, yeah, you're back in. You're back
Oh,
in.
good. Yeah.
How do people follow you? I want to make sure people can follow you. I'd love to have you back on again. Also, you have a book?
Yeah, I've got a few books. One of the places I would encourage people to follow me is on the nationalcitizensinquiry.ca, so CA for Canada.
Okay.
We're actually holding hearings this week, 3 days of hearings, November 6th, 7th, and 8th. We've got about 25 witnesses that are testifying on the question, are children safe in Canada? I think people will find the testimony compelling. It's live streamed all 3 days, so I would encourage people to look to that. If you go to my other work is with Vaccine Choice Canada. I've written a few books. One is called Dare to Question, and it was my journey of when I was waking up and I began to question the narrative about vaccines, and so it's called Dare to Question: One Parent to Another. And then we've written some new books of late in the last 9 months. One is a new parent's guide to understanding vaccination, and the second one is pregnancy and vaccination. And though we're trying to educate parents about every single vaccine on the market, help them to understand every single disease. So most parents today don't know anything about measles. All they know is what they're told by the media. And the media tells you to be afraid that this is a life-threatening illness, and if you don't do it, your child's going to die. That's not true. So they need to understand what diphtheria is, what tetanus is, what measles is, what chickenpox is. What is the risk of contracting that? What is the risk of some harm or death from contracting that? And then comparing that with what is known about the risk of injury and the risk of dying from the vaccine. And again, the short answer is that the risk of dying is higher for every vaccine on the market than it is for the risk of contracting the disease condition. And when parents understand that, they would immediately, I believe, make a different decision.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm grateful for the work that you've done. I'm sorry that it cost you so much. And I'm sorry that it cost you grandchildren. It cost you, I mean, they basically, in essence, sterilized your life.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
true.
sorry.
Well, it took me a long while to get over my anger and my fear. One of the other books I've written, Joe, is called Peace Begins With Me, because I spent the first 5 years of Josh's life being angry, and I realized I need to make peace with this life circumstance I have and make the best of it. And so I made a commitment to my son that I was going to fall in love with the son that I have, not the son that I wanted. And that changed everything.
That's a good way to put it. Ted, thank you for coming on. God bless you. We'll have you on again, and we'll talk more about this. It was revealing. More revealing for the fact that we face the same challenges in both countries, And that is something very, very demonic. So God bless you and thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for the time with you. I appreciate it.
You know, we rarely get to the personal costs. And he talked about diphtheria, which, by the way, is given side by side with tetanus. And I told you about an arrow that I got stuck through my leg, and so the 4-inch gash, they had to go in and sew it up on the inside and the outside. It just happened a year and a half ago. And they have chased me down saying, you need to get this tetanus shot. And I was like, no, I think I'm good. They've called my house 15 times. They've sent me emails, got in the app with the provider, hey, you need to get this done. And I was like, no, I think I'm good. I've already done it. I'm good. Why would you chase someone down like that? Like, why? I think that the idea is, I told them that I wasn't interested. I said, I'm not interested in your vaccines. And I talk about the fact that I had to tell the doctor, if you inject me with a vaccine while I'm under, because I have to go get surgery, I will kill you. And he's like, I'm not doing your surgery. I'm thinking to myself, so you were going to inject me with a vaccine. I'm glad you told me up front. There's so much that we miss. There's so much that we miss by not standing up and being strong. And is it harsh words to say that I would kill a guy? Is it harsh words to inject somebody's children with poison that causes them to give up a life that could have been abundant? And I'm not saying that Ted didn't have an abundant life with his son. What I'm saying is that he didn't get to make the choice of what kind of life he had with his son. Someone else made that for him. And it's not just Ted. It's millions of Teds. It's millions of Joshuas. And the fact that they have denied the fact that they have done this to our children for decades. And you know what? I had vaccines when I was a kid. I think to myself, maybe because I was poor, I didn't get all the vaccines. So maybe how did I not survive it? I also have brothers and sisters that had to take SSRIs. Because as I got out, I left home at 15. As I got out, my little brother, my little sister, they didn't fend so well. They didn't. And it's affected their ability on how they see the world and the people in front of them. My sister is coming out of it. She's done some great things in her life. She trusts no one. My little brother, love him. He writes music lyrics and among other things, but if he's not, smoking to keep himself calm, it just, that gives him back a little bit of his humanity. This is all caused by SSRIs. It's all caused by psychotropic drugs that they're feeding these kids. Firsthand knowledge in my own family. I tried to take them off of it. At 11 years old, my brother came to visit me, and my sister came to visit me at 11 and 9. And I said, and my mother's like, you got to take these, make sure they stay on these drugs. And I was like, no. Now, at the time, I had a 2-year-old. My daughter was 2, not even 2. And my little brother, I took him off the drugs. I took my sister off the drugs. And they were supposed to stay out with me for a month, and I kept trying to talk to my mother, like, hey, do you think they should be on these drugs? And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, Mom, now keep in mind, I went 7 years without talking to my mother. And then after this, I went another 7 years without talking to her. We got a relationship. It was very short-lived. My mother has her challenges. And I'm a hard-headed guy, man. I will cut you out of my life quicker than you know what, because I don't want poison in my life. Another cross to bear. But I say this about my brother and my sister because it's really important that you understand that you probably have these same things that happen in your life where people made decisions. My mother wanted there to be something wrong with my brother and sister. And for that month they were supposed to be with me, they were there 2.5 weeks. I saw the dulling that they were, and then I took them off it. I didn't tell anybody that I took them off it. I just took them off it. And they just came out of their shell. It was amazing. It was amazing who my little brother and my little sister were. And my sister, man, I'm like telling you guys something I don't want to tell you. My little sister told my mother that, hey, Joey, which I was called Joey, stopped giving us our drugs. My mother called me up screaming. She changed their flight immediately to the next day. And I was like, what are my options? I mean, I'm 24 years old, I'm doing really well. I really care about my brothers and sisters. I love them. Man, I love my family. Love my brothers and sisters. Every part of them. I love my one of 8. I even love my older brother who's got all sorts of problems. And I'm driving to the airport and my little brother is begging me not to have him take those drugs. Begging me not to put him back on the plane. Let me stay here, let me stay here, let me stay here, let me stay here. And I drove him to the airport and I put him on the plane because I didn't want to fight. And then I watched their life become what it was, which is just not so great. It takes an immense amount of courage to go take the wrong path, to take people, to go take the hard path. It's an amazing amount of courage. Amazing amount of courage to tell people, no, I'm gonna walk this hard path. I couldn't stand at the time. I couldn't stand up to my mother, and now I see what it did to my brother and sister. Now I left at 15, so I was out. Imagine being a parent today and walking into the doctor's office and you have that same thing and they say, or else. Or how many times have you gone in, your kid can't go to school, so you're like, well, I didn't have a choice. My child can't go to school if I don't give him the vaccine. Or the teacher that walks over here like he's recruiting and says, you know, Johnny has a real problem. Johnny doesn't know how to behave in class. We need to put Johnny on some drugs. See, the medical profession has done awful things to us. I mean, you could talk to Tuskegee experiments, everywhere we turn. It was just a couple years ago, we were talking about beagles. We were talking about the fact that Fauci had beagles that they would cut their voice boxes so they didn't have to hear them cry. And he let botflies eat their flesh until they died. That was just a few years ago. And as I'm sitting here having a conversation with you, how many times? How many? Tell me how many times you felt like you did not have a choice, whether you're talking about vaccines, whether we're talking about support Israel. I mean, your pastors, man, they're just infected with it. Slava Israel. How about Ukraine? Slava Ukraine. Every time we turn around, it's a forced choice. No, think for yourself. The media tells you think like this or you're un-American. If you're not against Russia, man, there's something wrong with you. You must be a really bad person. They create out of nowhere the idea that they are the truth. And yet Joshua, I mean, Ted buried his son. Look, I have 2 kids. And I think about the idea that someone would hurt my kids and I would crush them. And Ted has a huge amount of restraint, and he probably at some point had to say, I forgive you. Because if he didn't, he wouldn't be able to do the things he's doing today. Every time I get on this show and I have someone else come on that, you know, basically has their life get blown up, I think about all the consequences of not uttering those words. No. You need to do this. No, I'm not going to do it. you got to take this vaccine. Nah, I'm not going to do it. You say yes. You say, I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. That's the whole idea of it. You always have a choice. It might be very difficult. They might ridicule you. And if that's the worst thing they do about you, but you get to live a healthy life and your children get to be healthy, then you have an obligation to make calculated decisions that are good for you and your family. Ted's story spans 4 decades. We keep thinking they just showed up on 2019 and on our doorstep, and all of a sudden they're like, surprise. They haven't told us the truth about anything. Our elections are absolutely fixed and fraudulent. And these little fucks, pardon my language, run around telling us that, you just are conspiracy theorists. You know what? They can piss off. But at what point do we actually give up our sovereignty? Because that's what you're doing. You're saying in the United States you don't have sovereignty. You have to listen to that little midget Shapiro. You have to listen to, and you could say it about the other side too, you have to listen to Candace Taylor. You have to listen to Tucker Carlson. It feels deliberate. We're taking the MAGA and we're splitting it. We've already split it into 100 different pieces. You got CIA agents everywhere. They're telling you it's the paper, it's not the machines. We prove it's the machines. They're like, oh yeah, but it's still the paper. You got this little freak treasure hunter, Jovan Pulitzer, running around. That guy's absolute retard who walks past all the details and makes up his own narrative. No ability to look at things the way that they should be looked at. Like, okay, let's talk about the paper. Let's talk about the machines. Let's talk about the mail-in ballots. Let's look at collectively what this machine looks like and make a academic decision on what would be good for us. And why the hell, by the way, are they fighting so hard against it if the only one that is at a disadvantage with vaccines is the person that's not vaccinated? So then the new narrative became, but you have shedding and you can actually make a vaccinated person. You can't. They ignore science, walk past it, create narratives that aren't true. Kind of like global warming. How many times could I sit here and go back and forth with you about all the things that we've done, the CIA has done, and that organization is still in play, and all these old CIA guys are walking around going, you can trust me though. I'm no longer a part of the CIA. And we've had plenty of them on here. But they create a narrative too that's uneducated, doesn't understand things, doesn't see it. And I've just conflated like 20 different things. You want to know why I conflated it? Because it's all the same playbook. It's all, we're right, you're wrong, sit down, shut up, slave, and give us half your money. And when we're done with you, we're going to make you a victim because we're going to let pedophiles out on the street, criminals out on the street. They're going to be able to do whatever they want with you. And every single time they come back after a new crime is committed, we're going to wait until they escalate themselves to the point where they murder one of your loved ones. But you know what, slave? That's just the way it is, because it's cruel and unusual to lock up someone for doing bad things to children. You see the trend that happens here? It's not just the trend of doing something to a child with a vaccine and then denying it over and over and over again. It's the fact that they knew. And they knew about pedophiles, and they knew about these criminals. They've known. And they purposely have built a rotted system that is absolutely 100% one of the most lawless societies you could build. It's here. United States, Canada, there's nothing bigger. And they expect you to accept it, sit down, shut up, and watch your TV and watch your sports while we take whatever we want to take from you. See, that's the key. They can take whatever they want from you because you've surrendered your sovereignty. And that's, I think, what Ted's saying. Is you're a slave. I asked him, are you a slave? He said, yeah, I'm a slave. You know, I'm sorry that what I'm saying is not that, it's not that great. It's not that sexy. It doesn't feel that great. I'm going to tell you this, though. It's true. Nothing I said was fake, false. Nothing. And President Trump is going to have to pull that little wheel. He's going to have to pull it and say, Insurrection Act, let's gut it. You either have control of everything or you have no control of anything. And as far as the nuclear strategy of breaking the filibuster, I don't know if you have a choice right now. You've got to pull every lever you can. Because right now they are destroying everything they are reveling in the fact the government shut down because it is creating hungry people, and hungry people do desperate things, and desperate people will vote for this Mamdani. You want to know why? Because they're desperate. He said free rent. He said free food. He said just go after the white people. We're just going to go after the white people. Desperate people do desperate things. They can twist it in their heads. And we sit back and let it happen. We let ourselves get twisted in this little pretzel. And the reality of it is that every time they do it, they make victims of all of us. I'm going to talk about some of the other things I wanted to talk about today. I just dropped a crap load of truth on you. Let's do this. Let's talk about, I'm not going to do that one. Let me tell you what's happening in red parts of states all over the country on this election day. Voting machines stop working. Major errors. ES&S, Clear Ballot, Smartmatic, Dominion, all of them strategically have denied people the ability to vote in person on election day. Colorado, New Jersey, California, Nevada, Washington. Oh, Washington is a mail-in ballot state. There's now a bomb threat that have been reported in 7 different sites in New Jersey, all in red areas. Play it.
Governor Mark Meredith is live in Montclair with the latest for us. Mark.
Ainsley, Brian, and Lawrence, good morning once again, friends. Some brand new information coming into our newsroom that we've learned that these threats were communicated electronically via email to at least 7 different counties across the Garden State. These threats certainly being taken seriously, and out of abundance of caution, some of the polling places were temporarily either closed or suspended as they moved voters to different locations. And then as they were doing those searches, then either able to reopen some of the facilities. We got a statement from the Attorney General of New Jersey. I want to put it up on the screen for you. It says, law enforcement officers have responded at each affected polling place. Some of these polling locations have already reopened to the public. The polls in New Jersey opened at 6 a.m. sharp. We have not seen any added security in the last hour or so, but it is certainly possible that we could see more because at this polling facility right here behind me, we are going to be seeing the Democratic nominee for governor, Mikey Sherrill. She'll be out here with her family to cast her.
Let me talk about Ohio. Just so you guys know, this is in Ohio. Someone explained to me how the scanning machine at a polling location in Strongville, Ohio, that's not supposed to be connected to the internet, displays the following error. Something went wrong while displaying this webpage. This is true. This is Clear Ballot. He said because the machine is running a local web service, basically a browser interface that connects to a closed intranet. You're a retard. This is why people should not have nice things. This is one of the comments below it, by the way. Is that you think that you can air gap an intraweb and that there's no way that you can get access to it. It's a lie. Let me just tell you from a tech standpoint, it's a lie. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. Why are they fighting so hard to get rid of voting machines, or to keep voting machines? And then here's some others. That if it's not the bomb threat, it's others. Take a look at this. In 3 red districts in Cumberland County, New Jersey, the machines are down. On the phone with legal right now. And just like that, just like 2020, the machines were down in the red counties. Now, I think that Scott Presler is a CIA asset. I'm actually in the process right now of seeing if I can depose him in this lawsuit. I'd really like to depose him. He blocked me. I want to depose him. I want to depose Scott Presler. I want to ask him about Rob Presler. I want to ask him about all basically the central casting that we go through in this country. We are literally slaves. It's unbelievably obvious how much we are slaves. Now let's look at Virginia. Democrat nominee Abigail Spanberger versus Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. The only thing that stands between the nation's first black female governor is a white woman who preaches the importance of DEI. it so perfectly tracks. Amity, you're absolutely correct in that. Absolutely correct. I mean, this is what we need, right? Jewish white women that say that they're not white, by the way. That's what she is. Spanberger is a Jew, white woman, overrepresented in this country by 11 to 20x. 11 to 20x. You say, well, they value education. So does everybody else. So does everybody else. 11 to 20x overrepresented in this country. And you're telling me that we don't have a Jewish problem. Not a Jew problem, Jewish problem. In other words, radicals that basically want to shit on black people while saying they're there to help. That's a reality. That does happen. That is happening right now. And this is Barack Hussein Obama endorsing Abigail over a black woman who, by the way, has done a fantastic job. Play it.
Virginia's elections are some of the most important in the country this year, and I am proud to endorse Abigail Spanberger for governor. Republican policies are raising costs on working families so billionaires can get massive tax cuts. As governor, Abigail will stand up for Virginia families. She'll work to build an economy that works for everyone, not just big corporations and the wealthy. But it won't happen without you. Every vote counts, so turn out and vote for Abigail Spanberger for governor on November 4th.
I personally wish he would get a incurable case of syphilis that he got from having sex with Michael. Here's Obama talking in 2024. I'll tell you the difference after you hear it. Listen to him.
Communities is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. You said to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
All right, you ready for this? First of all, he changed his language. Everyone says that I have a accent. It's called ghetto. It's not really. I have an accent because of where I grew up, how I grew up. He changes it. You'll never see me change. I'll be the same way all the way through. Whether I'm articulate or not articulate, I use, all right, another truth. When I was 18, I don't think I understood me. In other words, I spoke, I wasn't very articulate. How's that? So going to college, I read a dictionary. I read the entire dictionary. Look, I would show up to class and I could take a test and boom, I'd fly through it. But I just had no time for anything other than girls and sports and selling drugs. I was good at all three. But I shouldn't admit that, but I was. Here's a guy that says you should vote for the black woman talking about Kamala, yet basically just told that you should have a Jewish white woman and you should pick her over the black woman that would have been the first female black governor in the state of Virginia. You see how bad he is? He's a clown. Obama's a clown. He changes like a chameleon. It has nothing to do, they hate you. I want to talk to black people out there. That guy hates you. That guy would ass rape you and abandon you on the side of the road just as soon look at you. If he had his option, he wouldn't just sanction Tuskegee experiments on you. He would literally run it. If he could get if he could get 2 bags of silver, get his shekels, or save your life, man, he would get the shekels all day long. He cares nothing about you. What's worse is Mamdani cares nothing about you. He's going to destroy New York. And these Jewish demonic people, you got to call it what it is, it's demonic. I'm sorry, you're overrepresented by 9 to 11x. That's 9,000 to 11,000%. That's what that is. And yet, we're supposed to hate Tucker for having an interview with Nick Fuentes. Because they're afraid of what? Look, if truth is truth, we wouldn't have to deal with it, right? I mean, if we would look at it and go, oh, that doesn't make sense. But when the problem is, it does make sense. So what are they admitting exactly when they go after Tucker Carlson? They're admitting that they think that you literally are smarter, and that if you could hear the truth, you'll grab onto the truth, and then their shit will fall apart like bad Play-Doh. That's in essence what they're admitting. And we sit here and we go back and forth. And I get on this show for a couple hours a day, being Captain Obvious for you, and have people like Ted on and other people, and we talk about things that are going on. But let's be honest. These people in government, you think that Adam Schiff gives a shit about you? All right, let me put it in this perspective. You think Mitch McConnell cares about you? That guy doesn't even know what his name is. Why didn't he resign? Why do you continue? You can't even walk down you trip and fall over air. And you're still showing up and being marched out there. And you remember the woman that literally died in Congress, and they would whisper in her ear, just say no. What the hell is going on here? And how is it that the American people are not pissed off? How is it that President Trump's not looking at it going, oh, look at Mitch McConnell. I mean, this walking corpse. You can't be Captain Obvious about things like that are just normal, because no, they'll cancel you. Talk about election machines, cancel you, take everything from you. Talk about vaccines, cancel you, take everything from you. They're trying to literally railroad RFK out of his position right now because he wants to cancel the mRNA vaccine. You have over 70 ambassadors that are still in their positions, that are telling countries, confirmed source says, they're telling the country, don't worry about it. 2026 is going to be a bloodbath, business as usual. And one of which said, don't worry about it. We're going to impeach him, and this time we'll get it done. This is an abomination. It is absolutely disgusting what our country is going through right now, and we're sitting there going, what the hell? But you got Chris over at Rumble. God forbid you do the right thing, Chris, and not do censorship on Rumble. No, your stock's in the shit because all my friends pulled their stock money too from you. I just told all of them, I was like, get out of it. Just get out. It's the same bullshit that you get with YouTube, only it's less sexy, and frankly, the technology is shit. Well, let's build our own. That's what I told him. Let's build one that truly is a free speech platform. Let's put this up. This is Elon Musk on the New York ballot form is a scam. This is, again, more of the same. This is the New York ballot. You have no IDs required. Other mayoral candidates appear twice. And Cuomo's name is last in the bottom right. So if you can just go in so you can you go in? Can you zoom in a little bit? No, the other way. You're almost, yeah. I need the picture. Yeah, there we go. So you have Mamdani is number one on the deal. Mamdani is then listed again as the fourth candidate. You have this other person that's listed as there twice as well. And if you look at the second bottom, then you have Cuomo. It's the second to the last candidate in small print. Mamdani is big print, he's small print. It could not be any more obvious that they think that you are a slave and you are stupid. This, by the way, should be illegal. This is a violation of HAVA. It's a violation of, you say whatever you want. It's a complete violation. It's nonsense. And the people aren't screaming. Why? They're going to tax white people to death in New York. Crime is going to be at an all-time high. They're going to fix rents and cause all sorts of problems in that area. And when are people there going to stand up? I'll tell you when. After the kids are dead. Yeah, raped, murdered, stabbed, stole from, lose everything. They are purposely destroying this country. And frankly, if we don't pull the lever of the Insurrection Act, we're in trouble. And I don't really care what you do to these protesters. I think you just body slam every one of them. Why? Because they're demons. They're people that are doing the biddings of these really demonic people that have hurt a lot of people. And the judges are doing it as well. Here's the communist Mamdani. He was asked to explain what a Democrat socialist is. Check it out.
How do you respond to that when somebody comes up to you and says, I can't vote for you because you're a communist?
I say there are reasons you might not want to vote for me, but let's be honest about my politics. I'm a democratic socialist no matter how many times President Trump calls me otherwise.
Yeah, explain the difference. What is the difference between a Democrat, a democratic socialist, and a communist?
Well, I'm a democratic socialist who's also a Democrat.
Right.
And when I say I'm a democratic socialist, I explain it in the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said that call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country.
Right.
And what I actually find is that when you're speaking to New Yorkers, they ask you less how you describe your politics and more whether there's room for them in that politics. Right. And New Yorkers are asking me, does your politics have room for my struggle to afford my rent, my childcare, my groceries? And frankly, President Trump ran an entire campaign focusing on the cost of living, focusing on the promise of cheaper groceries. And his inability to do so is now making him increasingly desperate to try and stop the campaign that will actually deliver on the same diagnosis that he shared.
Yeah.
Here's New York voters who support Mamdani saying they can't wait for government-run grocery stores to open. This is how bad it is. Play it.
And what about the government-run grocery stores? Do you think that that's a model that could work?
Yes.
And
I
why?
think there's too many hungry people and too many potatoes here that are $5 a pound.
Yeah, you got to lower the prices. Is there anything else about Zoran that gets you excited about him?
I'm excited that he gets young people excited, and I'm excited to see people standing in line, hopefully, to vote for something new.
And last thing, the number one comment I get on some of my videos is that socialism doesn't work. It's been tried many times. Why do you think it'll work?
This isn't socialism he's talking about, social democracy. You know, government should work to encourage people to thrive and be successful. Everybody thrive. It shouldn't be a matter of it should be equality, not supremacy. It should be a matter of bringing everybody up and not just having a few people with entirely too much money and too much decision.
You people are the most retarded people I've ever seen in my life. Here's a New York City liberal white woman Just play it. I don't want to. Just play it. Play it.
I think what's really important and standing out for me right now is if we can take ourselves like a high level, like not say immigration, not say economy, not say all the hot talking points, and just ask ourselves, how are we treating our neighbors? Like, how are we treating one another? And is it okay that yesterday, on Saturday, 42 million of our neighbors no longer can feed themselves? Is it okay that our neighbors are getting taken off the streets by ICE? Is it okay that gender-affirming care is being taken from young people who really need it to survive? Is it okay that the Supreme Court has now justified racial profiling? That's not how I want to treat my neighbor.
You're a retard. You're a stupid little retard. So raping children's okay, leaving criminals on the street is okay, letting gangs just operate with impunity is okay. This is the stupid that we have to deal with. That's stupid. Who probably, by the way, works for CAA. You know, the central casting. That's what that is. And you have to be a moron to actually believe any of that. I mean, let's call it what it is. You're a retard. You're an absolute retard. Then we asked a Mamdani voter what their favorite socialist country is. This one. This took the cake of retards. Go ahead.
Who are you voting for mayor?
I like Cuomo, but I think Mamdani might be pulling the lead a little bit with me.
What's your favorite example of socialism that's worked?
I don't have a big example of socialism.
Like between
you're a retard.
Venezuela, Cuba, Soviet Union, what's your favorite one?
Man, you put me on the spot. I'm gonna have to go Cuba. Man. I'm gonna have to go Cuba. Yeah. Let's go there. It's just so complicated for me. I got so much information in my head, but I'm gonna go with that.
Do you think Mamdani's the future of the Democratic Party?
I mean, I hope so.
You're a retard. I got so much information in my head. Yeah, like Taco Bell or Wendy's. Oh, but you'd pick Taco Bell because you like that poison in your body. Oh, I have to go to Cuba. Do you know what the lines look like in Cuba just to buy a gallon of gas? It's rationed. Their infrastructure is absolutely falling apart. If they weren't in a tropical area, all the people would be dead. You retard. It just doesn't, it blows my mind that retard after retard after retard can procreate. Maybe that's the one thing. They put the vaccine in their body. Now they can't procreate. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is all to get rid of retards. I don't know, I'm seeing Cuomo, but Mamdani was coming up on the thing, and I thought, I got this shit in my head. Oh, I have to say Cuba. Show me Cuba on a map, you retard. Oh, you can't do that either. Isn't that up next? Isn't that off the coast of Canada? Whew. So here's a communist outside the Mamdani rally said about government groceries. And you have to check out his newspaper, but go ahead, play it.
The grocery store capitalists, which have quite a powerful lobby, right? One of the grocery store bosses, he said of Gristedes, right? He said that he was going to pull out of New York City if Zoran won, right? We would say, sure, pull out, and we will take over your grocery stores, right? And we will use them for cheaper groceries, and we will take over the entire food industry because that's something that can be done if the working class is organized.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you guys remember Chaz? Remember the Republic of Chaz? It was in Portland in 2020. They were going to make their own grocery stores and groceries. And so they had cardboard and they put dirt on it and they planted plants on the cardboard and then couldn't figure out why they couldn't grow anything. You're retarded. The whole idea that communism is not anything other than the devil's playground is retarded. Get a freaking job, you little moron. And it's always the beta, whatever you want to call that thing. Oh yeah, we take over the grocery stores and make them cheaper. Mr. President Trump, I wore this for you today. I knew I was going to have this stuff today. I wore this for you. You see what it says? It says Trump. I 100%, Mr. President, believe in your policies and the things that you're doing. And, you know, you look at the fruit of the tree. I look at your kids. Very, very well done. Very well done. Okay, play the next one because I can't get enough of the other village idiot. I need to play it.
How much power does the Muslim vote actually have here in New York?
So Muslim vote is about 350,000. In the last election, it was about 200,000. Only 7% voted. In the primary, 31% of the Muslims voted, and out of that, Bangladeshi Muslims voted 42%. So just now, imagine if 50% of us voted, if 75% of us voted, we would be coasting. They would be at our feet, looking for us, looking to what to do for us, not just in symbolic, but in reality. That is the power of the Muslim vote.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Sorry, I was eating a sausage. Did you not hear what he said? Were you paying attention to what he said? He said the Bangladeshi Muslims. He didn't say American Muslims. He was very specific, the Bangladeshi Muslims. Not American Muslims, they don't see themselves as American. They see themselves as these people that can come take from your community, take the sovereignty that you have as a nation, and just steal it from you. They don't want to earn it. They want you to give it to them. Go to Bangladesh. Go to India. Go to Pakistan. They have entire rivers of shit. True story. Some of the nastiest, most stuff you'll find is in those countries. Poop pits. It's normal for them. Oh, you're a racist, Joe. No, I'm not. Culturally, we are incompatible. We're not compatible. We're not compatible in the culture that you're trying to bring here to the United States. The United States is a melting pot. People assimilate to the sovereignty of this nation. You can operate here, you can have religious freedom, but you do not get to take away what was never yours to take. And actually, that's what we face right now. Take the vaccines. Shut up, sit down, we get to take over your elections. Excuse me. If you make the wrong move and you don't support second graders being indoctrinated into having sex in books, you're a bad person. Having little kids get up on drag shows and dress up like girls and be groomed, you're a bad person. When good becomes bad and bad becomes good. Galatians 4:16 says, am I the enemy because I tell you the truth? There's 4 things that I told you for a long time that you should do. Pray first. Stand up. Always stand when you have something to say. Speak truth. Always speak truth and act. We're way past the part where we're at the act stage. You're afraid of going to jail. I get it. Afraid of losing everything you have? You're already going to. They're taking it all from you. Right now in real time. Mr. President, if you don't press that button on the Insurrection Act and start doing mass arrests, I don't know what this country's going to be like. I don't even care. I don't think any of us care if we get to the hard part, which is a conflict. We don't see it as anything other than necessary. We'd love to not have violence. But you have people saying that they're going to take from white people, vast majority of this country, take from them what's not theirs. that we're going to demonize people that make a lot of money. And by the way, I do believe that billionaires disproportionately run our society and are watching us fight with each other. I agree with that. Illegals that take what's not theirs, debt that's out of control, a government that literally is recklessly spending, a judiciary that is rotted to the core and forgot the rules of law, that is too slow and destroys lives with impunity at record pace today. And there's nowhere to hide. So, Mr. President, you could make a decision today that makes you breathe for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe your family survives it. I bet you they don't. Long after you're gone, they are going to come for your children too. Let's look at some of the comments. Some of us were gifted with natural junk in the trunk. Yeah, I got that. Body slamming. Body slamming. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did say that. I think I've ever been clear of who the enemy in the question is what you're going to do about it except bitch. I agree. My dog is so good that I taught him the same thing. He'll show off my best feature. Oh, that's funny. Allie, it's good to see you. And how is this not an invasion? Yes. Some Muslims are good people, Jeff, just like most black people are good people. I mean, you can't, look, the consciousness of an individual is not dictated by religion, because I can tell you there's a whole bunch of Christians and Catholics. I mean, look what the Catholic Church is doing right now. And I'm going through the process to become Catholic, and I don't agree with some of the doctrine, period, that these groups have and leadership have gone through. It literally is in their Quran. They want to take over every nation on earth. Well, I hate to tell it to you, but if we fight over religion, we're in trouble, because right now we're in one place. There's only one God. But they're fighting for it. Just so I can put it in perspective for all of you. You're like, Muslims, they want to inhabit and take everything on earth. Yep. And guess who's fighting and guess who's not? It's pretty easy to take something when no one's fighting to keep it. Let me put that in perspective for you. You're not doing anything to take it back. You're not doing anything to stop them from taking it. We're not willing to make any sacrifices. They're making sacrifices day and night, left and right. They're coming in, they're lying, they're cheating, they're stealing, they're doing everything that they can, and we're just letting it happen because we're like, oh, look at these guys, they're liars and cheaters and thieves. And then they lie, and we don't say a word. We're like, oh, I don't want to fight it. I don't want to go that place. And by the way, our entire side is infiltrated with these people. The MAGA movement splits from Tucker Carlson. Really? Did it? Tucker Carlson speaks a little bit of truth, has an interview with someone, talks about the obvious, the Captain Obvious, and all of a sudden, the Zionists, the Christian Zionists come out of nowhere and say, you can only think what I tell you you can think. I don't actually care what you think. I'll call you retarded if I think you're retarded, but you're allowed to be retarded. But I'm going to fight you tooth and nail to make sure that we respect the sovereignty of this nation. But we're not willing to fight for something, but we're willing to bitch about it. We're willing to say that, they're trying to take everything. No, they are taking everything. Let me just be clear. The radicals are taking everything. You want to know why? Because we let them have it. Because we're too busy going to a school board meeting saying, please, 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 will you please get rid of these books? Now, what you do is you get 50 to 100 to 200 to 300 men. You get them together, you walk in there, and you rip them damn books off the shelf. You walk in there and you recite their address. Hey, so Bobby, your town council, hey, thanks for being here. I got 2 minutes. You live at 1461 Elm Street. Yeah, yep. And you, Susie, you live at 1606 Jackson Street. Yeah, I just want to make sure I got your addresses right. You guys all hear that? And you got 200 men behind you. You want to see someone pucker up? Do that. And I'm not calling for violence, but they are calling for violence against us, against our children, against the next generation. I'm half dead. What do I care? They want government grocery stores because that worked. Look at Venezuela. Perfect example of a thriving society that gets swallowed up by communism. It's the poorest nation. You have doctors eating out of trash cans. And guess what? All the people that yelled communism, yeah, that was the CIA. They just moved on to a different country. They were all infiltrators that came here from the United States or were used as useful idiots and then knocked off when they were inconvenient to the entire plight of stealing and taking what was never theirs. That's the reality. We're more worried about, we let them talk about gangbangers and drug dealers and boats that we blow up. Oh, I asked you to give them due process. No, we didn't. We didn't. And we saved about 20 children somewhere around the country that didn't just swallow a fentanyl pill. This is how absurd it is. All week, 2 weeks, I've been talking about porn being owned by rabbis. A guy that calls himself a rabbi that says, oh, you know, we just like to run a dildo company. We got people that we picked that are white liberals over a black woman to run the Virginia because it's not convenient because of the values that they espouse. Like liberty, pursuit of happiness. Who would want that? I got to tell you, man, I'm at that place. I'm at the very end of the rope where I say to you, what do you have to lose? And I already know that they're all listening to me. I know the FBI, they're all listening to me. They're like, shut this guy up, please. It makes too much sense. Not because they've already got the censorship things into me. They got their little people like Mermaid and other people walking around running their mouths about me. I'm going to take care of them. Don't worry. People calling up Laura Logan in the middle of nowhere saying that oh yeah, he's a bad guy. I'm a bad guy. If I'm a bad guy, then I gotta tell you something. If I'm a bad guy, then Obama is Jesus. Because that's as close to the mark as you could possibly get. Now we know that's not true, because Jesus is not married to a man, but Obama is. All right, I've gone all I can go. It's time for me to get off. I've been here for 2 hours, and I hope that I was helpful. I hope that I was helpful, and that you guys could actually stand on your own 2 feet and grab a bunch of people together, get a bunch of guys together, call it whatever you want. Call it a brotherhood. Gals, you need to start doing the same thing. Grab your men, get them together. Just reach down there and just, as you go home to your husbands, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your hand and just like, wham, ram it up there, grab their balls. And he's going to be like, woo! And you can be like, I just want to see if they're still there. Right? That's pretty easy, isn't it? Just want to check to see if you still got those things attached. Now go out there and talk to John and Chris and Paul, and let's come back and let's sit around and kumbaya. And let's go down there to the town council meeting. Let's make sure that we have some intelligence that we can do. We can tell them, listen, you don't get rid of these books, we're going to come take them. And they get 200 guys to walk through the doors of an elementary school. You get dads dropping their kids off, and you just walk them right in. You go to the library, you pick out the books, you grab them all, and you walk out. And when they show up to John's house, they're like, hey, we're here to arrest you for stealing those books. You get 50 guys to show up out of nowhere and say, you know what, Sheriff? Not today, you're not. We are in the war. We are actually at war right now. What Ted said was true. They came for his child. They got his child. And how many other children by vaccines did they take? And how many lives have they taken? And how many families have they destroyed? It's not, stealing elections is not a victimless crime. It has destroyed lives around this country and around the world. And they've gotten away with it with impunity. Injecting vaccines in people's bodies has killed a ton of people. And allowing demons, Satanists, to run our society or to have a seat at the table, frankly, has destroyed our society. So congratulations. Susan Rice says, Joe, you're not a bad guy. We all know it. Yeah. That's because Obama's not Jesus. Two things are absolutely true. All right. Let's pray it out, yeah? Oh, we got a fax blast today: deport them all or be removed. The Democrat Party has weaponized grievance ideology. Born in the Marxist halls of Columbia University. Columbia University is the home of the CIA. To dismantle America's sovereignty and transform manageable immigration into a full-scale invasion, radicals like Zohran Mamdani and Omar Fattah, backed by the Republican Socialists of America and Ilhan Omar, now openly vowed to alert illegal aliens before ICE raids. Coordinate, know your rights, sabotage, and demand before ICE raids. And demand taxpayer-funded purge for foreign invaders while defunding police and erasing Judeo-Christian values. Sanctuary jurisdictions over 1,000 strong, shield cartels, child traffickers, and Tren al-Rawagwa, Tren al-Rawagwa, killers, while governments like Illinois' J.B. Pritzker sue the federal government to block deportations, and Oregon's Tina Kotek pledges to never back down from protecting criminals. This is not policy, this is treason disguised as compassion, and you have the constitutional duty to end it now. The consequences are apocalyptic and accelerating. Assaults on ICE agents have exploded over 1,000%. In 2025, with vehicles rammed in 10 major cities, officers shot, and hospitals overwhelmed. Direct fallout from Democrat non-cooperation that lets gang members roam free. Child sex trafficking now eclipses 1960 levels. Fentanyl from cartel pipelines is slaughtering our youth. And urban violence rages with moral foundation, as Washington and Adam warned. Declining faith unleashes incivility and rebelliousness that destroys nations. Trillions in welfare flow to non-citizens while American veterans sleep on streets. Sanctuary cities like Minneapolis and New York have become war zones of division and crime, all fueled by far-left academics and socialist politicians who view borders as oppressive capitalism. Your silence is complicity. Your inaction is betrayal. We demand immediately uncompromised action. Pass the ICE Empowerment Act within 72 hours. Fully fund 50,000 new agents and strip all federal funding from sanctuary cities. Reinstate Title 42 and deploy military support to ICE for mass deportation operations. Launch the deportation of all 20 million illegal aliens currently in the U.S. Zero exceptions for criminals, dreamers, or any other category. Impeach and remove any governor or official obstructing federal immigration law. It's not a request, this is a national emergency. History will judge you by your part, not by your party, but whether you defended the republic when it teetered on collapse. Act now or be swept away by the righteous fury of a betrayed nation. Yeah, we are out of here. I mean, let's pray it out. Yeah, shall we? Let's do it. If you liked it, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, tune in and more. Go check it out. I no longer have confidence in any of the platforms, Rumble, Facebook. And why? Well, because during the course of a day, I'll have 20,000 people come to my website, and I get 2,500, 3,000 people on Rumble. And we sent people to Rumble. So we send emails out to get people to go to Rumble, thinking, okay, let's just build that up. And here you go, right? I mean, think about it. All these platforms basically said, Joe, we're going to stop you from getting your voice out, and yet 20, 30, 40,000 people come to the website over the course of a day and watch the videos. How about that? Or how about the fact that certain channels that are obscure, that are out there, have more people that watch me on a Brighteon deal than they would on, and we don't even advertise it. How is that possible? So I will say this, the truth is the only thing that you can, it's like a message in a bottle. It just sways in the wind, and only the current, which is you, can get it into the ears of those that need to hear it. So you can share it, you can thumbs up on the different platforms. We're going to continue to fight through all this nonsense, and we're going to deliver you content where we speak the truth to you with people like Ted that I think deserve to have a voice and a seat at the table. A verse, thank you, Joe, and thank you, boys. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, let's pray. Father God, we put this before you. We thank you for the blessings that we have in our lives. We thank you for the place that you have gotten us to, that you've helped us persevere through trials that we've had in our lives. You've helped us recognize the things that we've done that we probably shouldn't, while also giving us the grace to allow us to carry forward and do great things. Father, we know that we are not hopeless. We put all of our hope in you, and we know that we are destined to restore you one way or another to our community, our country, and to the world. Father, I just ask you to give us the vision and you give us the ability to be silent and quiet long enough to hear what it is you need us to do individually and collectively in order to defeat this evil that is obvious in our society. Father, please give us the ability to be humble, yet recognize that we must be willing to fight. Help us, Father, that we may set aside petty differences and may find a brotherhood and a sisterhood together, or whatever color, even whatever political party at this point, that we can come together under a common goal of restoration, restoring you to our community, restoring goodness, faith, foundation, just a foundation of normalcy, ethics to our country. Father, I just ask you to bless President Trump. I ask you to bless President Trump and to bless our leadership, that they may be infectiously courageous. They may stand up and do the right thing regardless of the consequences, and that we may follow. That we may do the things that we need to do that are necessary to preserve our very way of life. Father, I just ask that we supernaturally get rid of these machines and mail-in ballots, that go to a place of transparency, that we can recognize the institutional rot that has gripped our nation. We are in the throes of it, Father. And I just ask that we can not only recognize that and be stripped away, but we can have the courage to stand up to it and defeat it, destroy this evil. I say these things, Father, humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. I'll see you guys later. What? No Rumble ad reads? Yeah, whatever. I don't even care about those guys anymore. All right. God bless you. We'll see you soon.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oldham's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew.